Okay, so I just want to finish with conflict. And I've been talking to Brandon a little bit. And again, I'm not going to belabor it, but we all know about porosis, don't we? We all know about Niloticus, don't we? What do we know about these guys? These are all acutus, and I guess there's a place in Costa Rica where people have been feeding these I'm in a croc meeting. Okay. They've been feeding these crocs from this bridge, and actually a whole industry came around that. There's crocman tours, there's gift shops, there's coffee shops, there's restaurants all around this river, and they feed these crocs. These are the biggest American crocs I've ever seen. Brady Barr caught one. Was it 5 meters? Somebody? Something like that? Was it? Okay. Laura, I worked with Laura 20 years ago in Costa Rica. So anyway, American crocs, of course, could be a problem. Here's your statistics. Crocodilus porosus, 12 countries with the tax, 3 countries without, 1,314 fatalities. Niles, 818. American crocs, 26 fatalities. So yes, it's possible, but they're not like these other 2 guys. And we like to work with them, don't we? So, with that, I'd like to finish on time. And wait, one more. Because you have to, so many people have helped me over the years that you know, I want to thank I can't thank all of them, but collaborate, everybody. Let's just all do this, and that's what these meetings are all about. So, anyway, thank you for listening to me, and I hope you learned a little bit. Thank you.
No, these are mine. Thank you so much, Joe. And that was just a tiny tip of the iceberg for the travels and the croc work that Joe has been involved in over these years. How many years is it, Joe? How many? 40? 40 years. Amazing. Okay, you guys bear with me for a second while I load up this next presentation. Keep losing my mouse. Okay, our surprise talk is Hamishu from Niger, and he's going to tell us about Crocodilus sucus. In French? In English? In French, okay.
French, il faut un interprète. Can you help me to interpret? Yes. Good evening, everybody.
You're welcome, everyone. Good evening.
Donc voilà, je vais faire une présentation en français qui concerne en fait l'état de conservation des crocodiles d'Afrique de l'Ouest au Niger.
So this is about the sucus conservation status in Niger.
Donc je me présente, c'est Hamissou Halilou Malam Garba. Je suis à la direction générale des eaux et forêts du Niger.
So introduce himself, Hamishu Halilou Malam Garba from the Forest Department in Niger.
Et donc voilà, plan de présentation de manière globale en 3 points. Il y a la présentation du pays, ensuite la situation des crocodiles au Niger, puis donc les mesures de conservation des crocodiles.
So that's the outline of the talk, the conservation measures. Tu peux revenir en arrière, ça? Reviens sur la slide d'avant. Ouais. That's the outline. So the situation, the status, then the regions along the river Niger, the region of Zender, and the region of Difa. And the main threats.
Ça, c'est toujours le plan. Bon, on va... Alors, le premier point, c'est la présentation. Voilà comment se présente le pays. Le Niger, pour ceux qui ne connaissent pas, il est au cœur de l'Afrique de l'Ouest, mais particulièrement, enfin, au cœur de l'Afrique, mais particulièrement en Afrique de l'Ouest. Alors, pour un petit peu avoir une idée.
On doit faire passer cette présentation. En fait, cette diapositive parce qu'il y a une carte qui est coupée en deux.
Une carte. Comment? J'ai pas. Ah, ok. Ah, ok.
So Niger is a Sahelian country, almost in the center of the African continent.
Ok, donc voilà différents points d'eau permanents au Niger, dont le fleuve Niger, qui est l'un des principaux points, le lac Tchad, et puis quelques mares intérieures, mais qui sont souvent pas trop permanentes. En fait, pour avoir une idée de ce qu'on a comme ressources hydriques.
So there are some permanent water points in Niger, the main Lake Chad and the other lakes that are written there. And then there are a couple of smaller water bodies distributed around.
En termes de diversité biologique, il y a environ 150 espèces de reptiles et amphibiens qui ont été dénombrés, dont le crocodile du Nil et le crocodile de l'Afrique de l'Ouest, le Secus.
So there are more than 150 herbs, but only one crocodile, the Sucus.
Et environ, en termes de ressources aussi hydriques, à peu près 970 mares et dont 69 retenues d'eau, qui fait à peu près 400 000 hectares.
So there are 400,000 hectares of water surface in 970 natural ponds and 69 dams.
Et donc, au regard de ces ressources hydrauliques, il y a environ 3 régions, ou du moins 5 régions qui abritent les crocodiles.
5 of the 8 regions house crocodiles.
Alors, les régions sont les régions du fleuve, évidemment, qui sont de ce côté-là, qui comportent la région de Niamey, la région de Tillabéri et la région de Dosso.
Along the Niger River, following those cities just mentioned, including Niamey, the capital.
Et donc, ensuite, au niveau donc, de la région de Zender, hein, qui est un peu au centre-est, c'est celle-là. Là.
Then Zender, more in the center, just over Nigeria there.
Et évidemment, la partie nigérienne du lac Tchad.
And the small Niger section of Lake Chad, what's left of Lake Chad, I guess.
Alors, pour avoir une idée de la région du fleuve, voilà le fleuve Niger. Hein, et voilà un petit peu bon, les différentes régions qui sont Tillabéri, Niamey, la capitale, et Dosso. Et on va voir un petit peu, selon les études de Madougou, qui est ici présent, ça a donné, il a essayé pour la première fois de faire un état de lieu sur les crocodiles au Niger, donc dans le fleuve particulièrement. Et donc,
in the rooms, did the first survey of sucus in the country to estimate abundance.
Donc voilà là où il a essayé de faire le point des différentes, comment on dit, là où il a pu avoir des données sur le crocodile. Ça c'est le fleuve, ça c'est la partie nigérienne. Alors pour les résultats, il est arrivé à avoir 259 individus donc de crocodiles, à peu près dont 77 individus dans une mare qui est liée au fleuve. Ensuite, 173 individus dans le fleuve même en tant que tel, dans la région de Tillabéri.
So a total of 259 individuals were spotted in those locations.
Et au cours de cet inventaire-là, je crois qu'il y a eu un certain nombre de mares qui ont dont les crocodiles ont été identifiés. Et voilà les différentes mares. Il y a Boni, Bangobi, ensuite Harkuka.
And And some small ponds with small number of individuals as well.
Et il est arrivé à faire un petit peu le point de ce qu'il a vu comme crocodile, mais c'est composé d'à peu près 49 individus nouveau-nés, une vingtaine d'adultes et à peu près 23%, je veux dire, de jeunes. Donc 49%, 20% d'adultes et 23% de jeunes. Et donc 8% de subadultes.
So 49% hatchlings, 20% adults, then youngs and subadults the remaining.
Il a aussi essayé de voir au-delà où est-ce qu'on peut, où est-ce que ces crocodiles se trouvent. Il y a des terriers. Il a fait le point aussi d'espèces enfin des crocodiles se retrouvent dans des terriers, comme on le montre dans la photo. Et donc là aussi, il a essayé de repartir en fonction de ce qu'il a vu, le nombre de terriers qu'il a pu observer, avec le nombre de 279 individus là.
And also some observation of burrows and scats that are indirect observations.
Et donc la deuxième région qui abrite les crocodiles au Niger, c'est aussi la région de Zender. Et l'histoire de ces crocodiles ont commencé par une mare dans la ville de Zender. Pour ceux qui connaissent, c'est l'ancienne capitale du Niger. Et à partir d'un certain moment, ces crocodiles posaient des problèmes à la population et donc ils étaient obligés de prendre certains de ces individus pour amener dans une autre mare un peu loin de la ville de Zender.
So in the ancient capital of Meladwaram, there are some crocodiles that used to be causing problems, and they were translocated to elsewhere.
Et donc ils ont amené ces crocodiles, deux couples si je m'abuse, au niveau de la mare de Guidmouni, et c'est un peu, je pense, la carte, voilà Zender, et la mare est un petit peu, Guidmouni est un petit peu au centre de Zender, et donc c'est la représentation de la zone où ça a été transporté et transféré.
So 2 pairs of those crocodiles have been moved to the location you just mentioned, near Zender.
Et là aussi, un étudiant s'est intéressé pour savoir, en fait, c'est vrai, on les a amenés depuis plus d'une trentaine d'années, et quel en est maintenant le nombre. Et cela lui a amené à avoir 18 individus, donc 18 crocodiles, toutes catégories confondues.
So these animals were moved about 30 years ago, and a student recently went to see what happened, and there's 18 individuals counted in that location.
Donc,
mostly subadults and adults.
Donc c'est une mare permanente, c'est ça un peu sa représentation, et c'est voilà la légende.
That's a permanent water body.
Et voilà la répartition en termes des 18 individus qu'il a recensés, et il a procédé à un système de sondage et un système donc de comptage nocturne par charrette et des enquêtes sociales.
So he's done direct observations on boat and on land, and also interviews, and those are the numbers observed in the first column.
Et donc, comme mesure, le deuxième point, comme mesure de conservation au niveau de la région de Difa, la troisième région, bon, il n'y a pas eu d'inventaire à proprement parler de l'effectif. Et donc, c'est pourquoi je passe là-dessus.
So there hasn't been really. C'est quoi qui s'est passé sur l'effectif?
J'ai dit au niveau de la troisième région, qui est la région du Difa, où se trouve le lac Tchad, il n'y a pas eu de dénombrement à proprement parler. Donc c'est pourquoi ce n'est pas la peine de s'attarder là-dessus.
There's no data on the Lake Chad population, so he won't be talking about it.
Alors, donc, il y a un certain nombre de mesures de conservation que le pays a adoptées pour pouvoir au moins avoir les crocodiles.
Some measures of conservation measures taken by the country.
Et donc, à la Conservation Institute. Donc, on me fait savoir qu'il faut aller doucement et rapidement du moins. Et donc, voilà pour ce qui est de la Conservation Institute dans leur milieu. Il y a le fleuve, mais il y a aussi aujourd'hui le parc W qui regorge un peu plus de population de cette espèce-là.
So regional parks were set up and the crocodiles are protected.
Ensuite, il y a la Conservation Institute qui est composée au niveau du musée national et des bonnes volontés des particuliers qui élèvent ces espèces-là.
And also some ex situ efforts from the museum and some private individuals.
Et donc, on a aussi essayé de s'intéresser au niveau de la place de Niamey, quelles sont les personnes qui, effectivement, élèvent le crocodile pour éventuellement peut-être les appuyer ou en tout cas faire en sorte quand même qu'ils soient suivis.
So they did a census of who these individuals are and see how they can assist them to continue doing that.
Donc, le tableau là fait le point de tous ces différents éleveurs éleveurs de crocodiles à l'état artificiel, je peux dire. Et ensuite, une autre forme de valorisation de crocodile ou de conservation de crocodile, c'est la valorisation, et donc à travers l'artisanat.
They're also trying to add value to the crocodile, and they're doing that through handicraft.
Ok, bon, et ensuite, je vais vite, puisque il y a l'écotourisme.
Ecotourism as well in those regions mentioned there.
Au niveau du fleuve Niger, au niveau du musée national et au niveau des aires protégées. Il y a ensuite les principales menaces auxquelles les crocodiles la conservation des crocodiles est confrontée. Il y a le braconnage, il y a la surpêche, il y a les activités agricoles, il y a la pollution. Ensuite,
Poaching, overfishing, agriculture, pollution. We'll talk about threats now.
Mais éventuellement aussi les variabilités et changements climatiques.
And the usual climate change and such.
Ensuite, pour accompagner la conservation, l'État a pris un certain nombre de mesures, notamment juridiques, telles que les différentes lois au niveau du pays et les accords internationaux et conservation et conventions.
Legislation was also upgraded.
Et donc c'est un peu toutes les conventions, les accords internationaux qui ont été pris par le pays pour pouvoir aller vers la conservation de la biodiversité notamment, mais particulièrement les crocodiles.
So internally and by joining international institutions and bodies.
Ok, donc il y a aussi, au-delà de ça, il y a des mesures pratiques de conservation, notamment la création des postes de contrôle avancés pour surveiller.
And some practical things like more checking checkpoints and such.
Ok, donc je m'arrête là parce que on me dit que le temps est passé.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'd like to invite all of the panelists. What's that? Can we have all the speakers up on for the panel discussion, please? Yeah, we got this one.
Yeah, hi, I have a question for Ethan. Are there other factors other than age that affect the rate of DNA methylation? So could like an environmental thing be causing higher rates of methylation? Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. I had plenty of slides about that at the end of my talk that I was not able to get to. But yeah, so the reason why a lot of that research has been done in humans is to try to come up with like a quantifiable rate of aging within a species or within an individual, like both tied to, I guess, life history traits, like, an individual's genetics can influence its eventual lifespan, which has been tied to a faster epigenetic aging rate has been tied to a shorter lifespan and vice versa in like lab model species. And there's beginning to be some work on more ecological and evolutionary applications to that. So some previous work from our lab has shown that incubation temperature of alligator eggs has influenced the survival probability of the offspring independent of sex. Samantha Bach, a previous student in Ben's lab, used sex reversal to decouple those two things. And interestingly, when we apply our epigenetic clock to hatchlings from those same hatchlings actually, they show differences in the epigenetic aging rate, which kind of matches with the expectations based on the survival. So yeah, there's some interesting, like more basic biological questions, and ecological evolutionary stuff that can be done. But yeah, right now the goal is just for like a more practical purpose. Yeah.
Thank you, Ethan. I think there's another question from the floor.
Yeah, hi Ethan. He kind of stole my question a little bit, but just to kind of roll on with it. So looking at the map in regards of the individuals that you utilize for the sampling, if I'm correct, some of them were captive animals, others were wild, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so I was just, and you were kind of mentioning it, but yeah, I was just wondering if there was any discussion prior to doing the whole analysis and splitting up and looking at the aging process, or the demethylation between that and crocodilian. They just seem to learn very quickly. So I'm wondering if there's been discussion to also, I mean, you kind of mentioned it, to do different species because the demethylation might be a little bit different.
Absolutely, yeah. I guess the first point about captive versus wild. So really, one of the reasons why we included both in the initial model is because we want to kind of have the rest of those factors, like whether it's captive, its sex, things like that, to kind of fall out as noise in the model. What the signal that we're really trying to pick up on is just the aging one, because like was previously mentioned, the epigenome, like DNA methylation, is affected by everything. Like anything you're exposed to can influence it. So really the goal is to try to look through all of that noise, and for this project develop something that's just as good as it can be at predicting age. And then I think once we have that working and have enough individuals to test it on, we could start asking questions about, are there like subtle differences between captive and wild individuals, which we don't see in our current model, which is good, because that means the aging signal is strong enough that you can pick it out over that kind of thing. And then the second question, absolutely yes. For applying it to other crocodilians, I think that's definitely the end goal. The only like things in the way right now this method requires a sequenced genome, which we have for a couple crocodilians at this point, but not all of them. And we also need known age samples from those other species. So like you said, what we've shown here is just an alligator, but some of these sites in the genome that are conserved between species may be like directly transferable, but for different species, we may need to pick different sites to target. So once the method is more developed, there'll definitely be some things that are transferable and some things that maybe not to different species. So it'll kind of be like a process of working on to different ones. It won't be directly applicable, but yeah, that's definitely one of the end goals.
Thank you, Ethan. Do we have a few more questions?
For Ethan too, but yeah, I'll move down the front as well. Can it be done from other things than just blood, like muscle? Is DNA in this regard, or? Yeah,
so it can be done in pretty much any tissue you want. The human ones, because they have such availability of samples, are actually like tissue agnostic. You can do it in any tissue, but the problem is you have to, in your training data set, have those tissues. So a clock that's trained on just blood is only applicable to be applied to just blood, but a clock trained on all tissues can be applied to all tissues. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, for this, we've only had blood, but theoretically it could even, in humans, it's commonly done with saliva, just like a regular genetic test. So again, eventually, like down the road, when the technology improves even more, that could be like, I guess, and people have even started trying to do it with things like fecal samples. So yeah, down the road, it could be, open up a lot of avenues, different tissues and things like that.
Hot topic. All right, it looks like Savannah's got a question.
So I just wanted to ask Joe a question, because I've seen a lot of amazing research and things like that here. Lots of amazing and beautiful young people coming up here, and you said in your talk that you wanted to help young people and then work for them. So my question is, what do you think is the most important thing for people that are up and coming and trying to work with crocodiles? And what do you think is what is most, I guess the same question. What is most important with everyone coming up, and how long your career's lasted, what, 60 years, 70 years?
1973 it began.
Yeah, there you go. So you've seen a lot of people come and go, and you've seen a lot of things come and go, and just maybe speak to what makes it so that you could be effective long-term in working with crocodilians.
Well, let me just begin by saying I work for her now. And there's two things. That's a good question. And two things for everybody here. The young people, you listen to us. And old people, have a little patience and try to work with them and train them. Because what I did, I trained Mike Lorette, who's on my presentation, and we started the new technology of camera traps, motion cameras by the nests. And we know in Florida Power and Light, we have as many as 24 nests every year. And I would have to go out every morning to check each nest. Nowadays, he's got cameras on there with an antenna that goes right to your phone. And he gets a notification, oh, it's 2 in the morning, number, berm 12, section 4 is nesting. So they're saving a lot of time, and I've seen that with Silmi. He's using that technology, and I think more and more. So the young people are using technology we did not have. That's I guess, a good way to say it.
Thank you, Joe. I think we have time for 2 more questions.
I will add something. I mean, not that much experience. I was 3 years when he started to work, but it's like, I think the young people need to get involved with this with passion. It is just passion. You feel it and you like it and you enjoy it and you keep going.
Spot on, Carlos. Okay, we got a question over here.
I have a question for Francois. Your different thermoregulatory behaviors or methods, do you think that impacts metabolism? Like, do you think paleosuchus have different metabolic rates than things that are actually thermoregulating?
I think thermometabolism, as you say, metabolic rate is the key. I think they have a very low metabolism. This is why they grow very slowly. And this is related to the type of, thermal behavior that they have. I believe, I didn't have time to show you the pictures, but we might share these pictures after. What I've seen from young caimans, I mean, broad-snouted, Caiman laterostris and Caiman crocodilis. Usually they grow this woven bone when they go through the early stage from like hatchling to 5 years old. And then this bone is replaced by parallel fiber bone, like the kind of growth you can see in trees, like growth lines. It grows slow, and this is what you see in adult crocodiles usually. But I've checked so far dwarf caimans, and they grow like very, very slow. Nothing in comparison, so probably they have like these parallel fiber bones, which is probably a good proxy to assume whether crocodiles are thermoconformers or active thermoregulators. But the key behind that must be metabolic rate. Very slow, very low metabolic rate. Thank you.
Thank you. We have time for final question.
Great.
Go out with a bang.
Along those lines within your research, I'm wondering what kind of differences you found based on the animal status, meaning maybe a gravid female versus a juvenile versus different statuses, maybe if they're injured, but also any differences between the type of heat that they're seeking out, whether that be IRC, maybe they're going into the water for thermoregulatory behaviors. Did that drive any of those behaviors that you could find out?
So far, I haven't seen any difference between animals that are kept in captivity and in the zoo. I mean, even in artificial captivity by this way, I mean that they're heated up by a lamp. For instance, I've seen that dwarf caimans remain thermoconformers, whether they are bred outdoor or indoor in the zoo. So basically, it means that even natural light doesn't change their habit. Whether they have access to heat or not doesn't change their habit. Very interestingly, I think, do you know Zilka Campos? I guess some of you might know Zilka. She had very interesting result in the Pantanal, because Pantanal is a limit where dwarf caiman lives. They're basically Amazon animals, but they live in the Pantanal, where they don't have this forest canopy over them. And their internal temperature will remain 16 degrees in the winter, daily temperature, and 25 in the summer. Meanwhile, the heat will be very different. So basically, it's like there is this deep adaptation, which is not sensitive to sex, nor to the environment, or captivity condition.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Can we thank our panelists with a round of applause, please?
Thank you.
All right, thank you, everybody. If you might recall, on Thursday during the human crocodile coexistence session, we had a talk by Christiana Ward from Queensland about Old Faithful. It was requested that we play a video to better represent the local community voice in this situation and kind of expose the experience of the local actors. So we beg your indulgence for another 7 or so minutes over this, and we hope you enjoy it.
This is a great crocodile slide, exactly what we're looking for.
This is the story of a sacred crocodile, made famous by Steve Irwin.
Back where he belongs. That's where we want him to stay.
Taken from its home. Tucked away in this far north Queensland industrial estate, this building is at the centre of the controversy, and so are the people who work here.
Here we are at the thief. All the thieves live here.
The state's crocodile catchers are accused of breaking trust and their own laws.
That's where he was last time I visited him.
Traditional owners accusing them of carrying out a secretive operation involving Australia Zoo.
It'd be like the department taking away our children.
But that's the way government treats us. It's like a mushroom. Keep you in the dark and feed you bullshit.
But first, some context on the crocodile. Nicknamed Old Faithful, the 4.5 metre reptile is revered by traditional owners across Cape York.
As a totemic animal, that crocodile is a grandfather, a brother, and a father, and a son to many people in my community.
He's believed to be at least 80 years old and until recently lived at his namesake waterhole at Lakefield Rinuroo National Park.
So down here at Old Faithful.
Rinuroo's been jointly managed by traditional owners and the state since 2011, meaning by law any wildlife removal should involve proper consultation, which Alwyn Lyle says is the crux of an ongoing problem.
You come down the side here.
Last year, Alwyn gave the Environment Department, DETSI, verbal permission to remove a crocodile from Lakefield after he was told there were public concerns of aggressive behaviour. It wasn't until he came here to the holding facility in Cairns that he saw officers had removed 2 crocodiles.
Just behind the fence there.
And that one of them was Old Faithful.
I'm not sure if you can see that, but that's Old Faithful in his enclosure.
The other was slightly smaller. Alwyn believes it was the culprit.
It was clear to see that the smaller of the two was starving, and it was easy for me to determine that this guy was the problem, and that Old Faithful, he's big and fat and healthy and nothing wrong with him, and that's a wrongful arrest.
When Alwyn started asking for evidence that Old Faithful was the perpetrator, he says he was stonewalled. The department went silent, and the Environment Minister, who'd been to the National Park just months prior, wouldn't respond. Lawyers from the Environmental Defender's Office, leading legal experts in this space, also started investigating.
We also reminded the decision makers that there are cultural rights attached to crocodiles in those communities. We did not get a response.
And then, without warning, Old Faithful showed up here.
We found out about it through the Cairns Post on a Monday morning. And on that Monday morning, the Australian Zoo put out their commercial.
Once we heard that he was unreleasable, we jumped in to offer to give him a home.
Well, I tell you, he had a home.
Traditional owners are genuinely concerned for Old Faithful's welfare because there have been instances in the past in which crocodiles have died after long-distance transfers similar to this. I'd been trying to raise these concerns with the zoo for weeks with no response, so decided to just go straight to the source. So they sent someone out from the reception to talk to me who said that the zoo's PR team was off-site today, that they would note our visit and escalate our inquiry. That was a week ago. We're still waiting to hear back. There's also notable silence from Andrew Powell, the Environment Minister, who hasn't responded to our request for an interview and hasn't answered a single question we sent to his office.
The way that they removed Old Faithful from the depot here in Cairns down to the Australian Zoo, that's like a thief in the night. He would sneak in and take something and sneak away. I just wonder how he's feeling down there.
After Old Faithful had been relocated and 7 weeks after Alwyn first asked for evidence, the department provided its reasoning. While the document describes multiple incidents of a crocodile lunging at boats and stalking people, it doesn't identify Old Faithful as the culprit or acknowledge cultural obligations, and there are potentially other legal flaws. EDO lawyers are now considering lodging a human rights complaint.
And we are deeply concerned that the Statement of Reasons does not include the Human Rights Act and cultural rights protections in their decision-making process.
Traditional owners, among other critics, say the Old Faithful saga is part of a pattern where cultural rights are sidelined and tough laws and penalties aren't enforced. Examples including in 2024 at Napranum in the Gulf, a crocodile that was accustomed to eating wild dogs was deemed a danger and shot by the department. Community leaders say the animal was a totem and that the department acted without their consent. In 2025, a sacred crocodile known as Big John was found drowned and decapitated in Yarrabah. Elders say they were left in the dark. The same year, an American influencer filmed himself wrestling wild crocodiles in Cape York. Holy crap. No penalties have followed.
What is evident is that these laws have not been effective insofar that they haven't been utilised to punish and deter those who are offending under our wildlife legislation.
The Environment Department didn't answer questions about trust or enforcement, and traditional owners dispute the department's claim it extensively consulted with them.
This is just another extent of removing totem culture from country, from traditional owners, and disempowering and disenfranchising our cultural heritage.
With the Minister still not responding, we took their concerns to the Premier at a Cyclone press conference this morning. So is this reflective of your government's attitude towards traditional owners and cultural obligations, or does your government have an accountability issue?
I don't agree with your premises of your question. Okay, well, we're a couple of days away from a big event, and we can discuss the crocodile after that.
The sort of habitat that Old Faithful has been used to all these years.
Alwyn Lyle is now calling for the government to support the establishment of an Indigenous-run independent authority in the national park. And he says he still hasn't received an update on Old Faithful's well-being.
Disgusting. You know, like, the government should be held accountable for not engaging with traditional owners, you know?
This is Zero Avenue in South Surrey.
Okay, we've actually got one more video to show you when Hamza gets back with my USB stick. Best laid plans, last minute thoughts. Ari. Feel free to talk amongst yourselves. Don't leave. Lock the doors. Yeah, all right, okay, let's do that. All right, let's do that. Let's work with Plan B. Okie dokie. All right, so in the interest of time, this is our closing ceremony. Congratulations, everyone, on getting through the week. We're going to have a quick 2-minute maximum report from each of the thematic and working groups, just on any pertinent action items that came out of their sessions. So if I can call on probably Colette, Paolo and Luis and Matt up here in just 2 minutes to give us an update.
Oh, yeah. Oh, is it that form or is it?
Are they on? While we wait for that to plug in, I'd just like to offer our thanks to Kathy Shilton, who co-chaired the veterinary science group for a very long time, who stepped down very recently. She'll maintain her interest with the Crocodile Specialist Group, but certainly from me, a big thank you to Kathy, who couldn't unfortunately be here. And Luis Bassetti has kindly offered, not knowing what's involved, to become the new co-chair together with Paolo. Congratulations.
I can read from your phone because I don't have it doesn't, yeah, I had it here, but it doesn't come. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, well, we're good. The veterinary science group has been involved with quite a few of the last working meetings, preparing and organising veterinary workshops, which have been, I think at every meeting have been incredibly successful, indicating the interest that there is in that field. You're right, Paolo?
Exact. Right.
You don't want that projected, do you?
Can, then it saves time, everyone can read us. Yeah. Otherwise, just leave it like that, it's fine.
Or I can just read off it. I've just got 2 minutes.
Yeah. Feels like my 2 minutes are up. All right, so thank you, Charlie, for introducing Luis. Thank you, Luis, for accepting. We have had a feedback session on the workshop that we held. So some positive, overall well received. The telemetry was a very big success. That was general feedback. The format works fine. And the AV close-up on the big screen was helpful. We did not realize our mistake that the workshop was transmitted live. So we decided we shouldn't do that for the next ones, just to risk of avoiding the risk of critique or things like this by laymen looking at it. And then we felt that we had an insufficient number of facilitators, so we'll do better next time. And then we discussed the next workshop, and Luis will talk about that.
To the next workshop, we will include necropsies, include specialist sampling as RNA, sterile samples, histology. We will include a section, station of laboratory too, and the new idea is include ecotoxicology too. We'll keep the same format we are accustomed in others' workshop, and we'll limit the people in this time, okay? We have idea of the numbers, so we will prefer to limit the number of participants for the hands-on part and involve sufficient facilitators, because we need people with experience to give the class or something like this. Probably we'll have half part in classes and half part working with animals and the samples, okay?
So maybe we can jump through the, I guess it will be part some point, so I'll jump straight to what we recognize as actionable items. We will produce some guidelines for the use of live animals during the workshop, because one of the feedback was that some animals had to undergo a bit too much stress. We will start producing video guides as well that will be online. We will start producing a necropsy guidance video to add the existing guidelines already on the website. We will distribute the mission of the group to the group members before we set up the new website, so it's been reviewed. And we are going to start a field manual. So we'll start producing a field manual of veterinary matters related to conservation or to the CSG. Some people have already come forward to volunteer, but we'll distribute to the whole mailing list and we'll see what gives. And next time we'll find out how much of that is achieved already. It's going to be a work in progress, and we'll clean up the mailing list. So overall, fairly productive meeting in terms of actionable and good discussion. So thank you everyone for coming.
Sorry, Paulo. We are prepared field manual of veterinary techniques. So I think we would like to invite people to see the draft and collaborators with us. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Colette, are you going to wrestle Matt for the position next? No, do it. Whatever you feel comfortable with. Watch this. No, just keep. I've just got to do a bit of stuff here, so you talk in the background.
Yes, so the zoo thematic group met on the 13th of May, and we had 21 attendees, most of which were zoo people. And the zoo group agreed to create an updated set of specific attainable goals and objectives that will form the foundation of the zoo group in order to help it ensure it can contribute in meaningful alignment with the goals and objectives of the CSG. A super fantastic 8-member group committee was formed to develop a mission statement and a list of tangible goals, which will be completed. They've almost completed it here, huddling in corners. I've seen them working. I took a glance at it, thought, great work, fantastic committee. So I imagine that within 30 days that will be complete. I'm working on an email list of the meeting attendees, and which will be circulated to that group so that we can build out our zoo committee, and in hopes that in a very short order we will do our most important work at this present time, which is to include croc-centric zoo people from outside of the EU and the USA. We want to pick up South America, Africa, Asia, and Australasia. So imagine, our goal is to get that done in 90 days. That's the low-hanging fruit for right now. But I think that they have some other goals and objectives that they're fleshing out at this time. So thanks to the committee, head by Erie, and that's my report.
Thank you. That became the theme of the zoo group, was low-hanging fruit. Where do we start? Matt's going to give us both the conservation priorities and the taxonomic group action items or summary.
Great. Thanks, Ali. So the conservation priorities work started about 4 years ago with a recognized need for CSG to publish, at least on the website, some guidance for various stakeholders, ranging from students all the way up through governments, to better engage with crocodile conservation and management around the world. The idea being to eventually produce a fairly exhaustive but not overly prescriptive list that can be referenced to both species and countries or other geographic levels to guide different actors interested in engaging in crocodile conservation on what we think the most effective things that need to be done to achieve real conservation gains for crocodilians. We started out with a process with a small group of CSG members that are all working on largely the more threatened taxa, but including some other species. to try to work through a process. And we quickly found out that there were a couple of hurdles, and I'll come back to this in just a second, but then we took that process to the El Salvador meeting that happened last year to see if we could implement this in a practical way for at least one region, the Central American and Caribbean region. And we again found that those hurdles kind of exist still. Among them happens to be, for example, a really solid understanding of the need to integrate science in support of conservation or management and direct management actions that ultimately achieve our conservation goals. But I'm happy to say that through the process of the working meeting we had downstairs a couple of days ago, we got some really good constructive feedback on how we can potentially achieve better success in this process and ultimately come out with this list of conservation priorities. And ultimately, we think this is going to be really important, not only to guide people, but if you look around the world, the state of funding in the world today, oftentimes funders require reference to either action plans or IUCN-defined priorities, for example. And so it might open up funding opportunities, and it might also guide any person interested in interacting for crocodiles to do things that are a bit more targeted and with intention. And so I'm very excited to say that hopefully in the next couple of months we will be reaching out to many people in this room to get your inputs into that process for the various species and country combinations that you work with. So keep your eye out for your emails, and for the ex situ community, speaking of ex situ, we will seek to include important ex situ actions for linking to in situ conservation. So hopefully this will be quite comprehensive in the end. So hopefully we'll be moving that forward soon. Anything to add there, Charlie? No? From a taxonomy perspective, we had an agenda, relatively confined agenda. So the taxonomy working group was originally formed in response to a request from Peter Paul van Dyke, who is the nomenclature specialist for CITES, for fauna for CITES, who noticed that our standard taxonomic reference, our standard nomenclatural reference for crocodilians is about 35 years, 36 years out of date. And so the idea was to request that the CSG work together to effectively publish an updated taxonomic reference, largely for use in CITES purposes. For example, there's lots of new crocodilian taxa being described every day, and there's been a few stumbling blocks or hurdles in our way to achieving that to date, mostly because some of that work is kind of ongoing and we didn't really want to preempt some of the new taxonomy that's coming out, but also, well, it's been a question of time, to be quite frank. And so we've got some volunteers that are hoping to work on that moving forward, which is good. We also discussed updates around the dwarf crocodile changing taxonomy. We're very happy to report that we have a near final manuscript that's going into review. A new issue around New Guinea crocodiles. Some of you might know that Crocodilus novaguineae was recently proposed to be split into two species. On the north half of the island, Novaguineae, and the south half of the island, Hallei. While we do think that there is a very solid biogeographical basis for this, the available evidence to date is inconclusive, and there needs to be a bit more significant work. There are two different groups of people working to achieve that, and so we talked about how to better synergize those efforts, how to overcome some hurdles, like administrative hurdles related to working in PNG and Indonesia, and most of that work will be really launching off this year, partially with really fantastic support from CrocFest, for example, and really great teams, collaborative teams in Indonesia and PNG. So we're hopefully by the time we give this report the next meeting, we will have resolved at least that problem to a much better degree than it is now. And then, of course, if you look across the New World crocodilians, both crocodiles and caiman, there is a lot of stuff happening. A lot of new research coming out suggesting that the crocodiles in that part of the world may be evolving slightly differently and under more complex evolutionary systems than what we see in other parts of the world. And so we discussed the latest science, New World crocodilian evolution science and caiman evolution science, and really put an emphasis on the need to proceed under an integrated taxonomic framework. But for right now, there's not much to be done or not much to be worried about or taken into consideration when it comes to New World crocodilian taxonomy. But it is very exciting. Many CSG members are starting to collaborate in a much bigger and more effective ways to answer those questions. And there's a lot of people, really intelligent people in that group, that are starting to think about how we can really apply an integrated taxonomic framework to better understand implications of ongoing hybridization among species, for example, and better understand how crocodilians who are seemingly living in such close proximity under similar ecological constraints might be partitioning themselves systematically or phylogenetically in such strong ways. But hopefully at the next meeting there will be new science to be presented upon in Brazil in particular. That'll be really exciting, and we can consider that as we move forward, of course.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt. Okay, so what we're going to do now is go back to the video.
Agadir nous accueille face à l'Atlantique. Sa baie ensoleillée nous invite à savourer des instants de pure détente. Ici, tout respire la douceur de vivre. Des activités variées nous promettent chaque jour une nouvelle aventure. Des souvenirs inoubliables à partager en famille. Prenons de la hauteur. La Casbah, joyau du XVIe siècle, nous ouvre ses portes. La vue panoramique sur la baie est à couper le souffle. Des musées dévoilent l'histoire singulière de la ville. Nous y découvrons toute la richesse du patrimoine amazigh. Dans la Médina, l'aventure continue. Nous flânons entre échoppes et ateliers, immergés dans l'artisanat et la culture locale. Le souk animé éveille tous nos sens. Tout près, l'arrière-pays nous attend. Les arganeries, emblèmes de la région. Des vallées verdoyantes. Des grottes mystérieuses.
Sorry, I thought I'd stop that and see if we could get the video to catch up. No, what do I do? What do I do here? I broke it. Well, it's already broken, so I think it's completely frozen, actually. Oh no, here is the genius.
Agadir nous accueille dans l'artisanat et la culture locale. Le souk animé éveille tous nos sens. Tout près, l'arrière-pays nous attend. Les arganeries, emblèmes de la région. Des vallées verdoyantes. Des grottes mystérieuses. Un souffle de nature aux portes de la ville. Agadir, c'est la promesse de moments précieux à partager. Ici, on se détend, on s'émerveille, on se retrouve.
I think we might have to call that one quits. Sorry about that, but I think we can all agree that Agadir is a beautiful place. Where is it? Yes, it's been an absolute pleasure to be here. And And I think we've had some really lovely insights into the local customs and culture. If I can invite both chairs up here for their closing comments, Alejandro Laliera and Charlie Manolis.
Thanks, Sal. Are you ready? Okay. Okay, thank you guys. Well, we've reached the end of a very full menu of papers and posters and eating and drinking, and we've still got tonight to go, so Carlitos, you ready? Okay, I'm going to follow your lead. Look, I think I express everyone's feeling. It's been a wonderful meeting in a wonderful location here in Morocco. I'd like to obviously thank a bunch of people, but in particular, Monsieur Allion, Luc Figuerol and Ariane, the key people within Croco Park who took on to be the hosts for this 28th working meeting, the Crocodile Specialist Group. And in particular, we thank His Majesty King Mohammed VI, who put his patronage upon this meeting, which obviously expresses how important I think Croco Park is to this local area. Key people that have been involved in the organising, again I'll mention Ariane, Hamza and Layla, key people from Croco Park, and of course their organising and scientific committee, all who worked tirelessly over the last 2 years to put together this meeting. For those of us who have been involved in organising one of these meetings, I mean they're a lot of work, there are a lot of headaches, but one can only hope that they'll sleep well after this one finishes. But yeah, look, and Ariane and her team and the organising committee clearly couldn't have done it without the technical staff. We've got this lovely lady who's taken photos of me, hopefully not when I've been sleeping over there, but I think she might have snuck a couple in anyway. But look, there's been a multitude of people, and Sally's probably got some of them listed here. You know, it takes a lot of people to make one of these meetings actually work. When we had decided to have this meeting in Morocco, our thoughts were about this particular region, or North Africa down and West Africa particularly, where there's a number of species, and we wanted to draw attention to this region. So it is, you know, with great pleasure that we see at least 6 or more West African countries represented here, together with others from the African continent. I think we've got Kenya, South Africa, Zambia, and possibly others. It's great to pull those people in who often have difficulty getting to some of our meetings that are in other parts of the world for different reasons. Excuse me. So yeah, and of course again we've had a diversity of topics discussed, presented in different ways. I think that just the poster session alone went from, you know, fossil crocs to probably, I don't know if she's here, our youngest poster presenter somewhere. Yeah. I heard she went shopping, but anyway, that's okay. Yeah, so yeah, it certainly shows the range of interests that we have in crocodiles all around the world. But in particular, there were some positives, a lot of positives that came out. But of course, there's also still challenges in front of us for various species to try and improve their status. As a very famous crocodile specialist has often reiterated, biology is normally the easiest variable to actually solve. It's the others, it's the social, the economic, the other things that are involved with any effective conservation. So it's great to see various papers presented that looked at involving communities, local people, because in the end, they are the potential solution to some of the problems that we face. Yeah, so look, it's been a great meeting from that point of view. We can confirm that the 2028, the 29th working meeting will be in Corumbá?
Corumbá.
Oh, Corumbá.
Start to speak Portuguese.
In Pantanal, obrigado, in Brazil. So there you go. I've already started practicing. I can say thank you in about 15 different languages now. But look, we look forward to Brazil. I think it'll be another good meeting, another region that has a lot of species of crocodilian, and we certainly look forward to that, and we certainly look forward to seeing all of you in Brazil in 2028. Luis will be involved, no doubt, in the organisation of that, and we certainly look forward to it. I'm sure most people would like to know how much we raised last night at the auction. The auction has become a feature of all of our working meetings since, I think, 2004, when we had the first one in Darwin. We couldn't have done it without our very loud and experienced auctioneers. So a big thank you to, oh, there's one of them over there, Sean Hefflick, Joe Vasilevsky, who when did you start? 1973, was it? Okay. And what's amazing is we still had Carlos as a backup in case something happened to the other two. So we're sort of picking up these auctioneers as we go, you know, just in case one fails.
I'm pretty sure he was going to be in Corumbá.
In Corumbá, and I'm sure he will. So the auction, yeah, it's a great feature, and you know, the guys have just so good at extracting money from people that it's just wonderful to watch. But we managed to raise $6,565 US. And although a lot of credit obviously goes to Joe and Sean, who made it into quite a theatrical show, it's you guys who put the money in at the end of the day, and we thank you collectively for that. We will announce where those funds will go this evening at the banquet, but it will be fairly locally in this region. Alejandro, do you want to add anything?
Well, being two co-chairs is very useful for, you know, managing the group, but it's a kind of repetitive. So I'm not planning to go to all the thanks that Charlie was expressing. I was just to reinforce my big gratitude to all the people that came here for this meeting. It was very, very hard for many to get to this place. I know very, very much how it is for Argentina. We are 10 from Argentina, so it was a very big effort. But also, what it was the original idea for this meeting, the people from the region, all the people that came here doing a big effort to participate here, and also to Croco Park that also helped most of that people in some way to get this place. So everything, in my opinion, it was, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
It was excellent. And I have, now that you are applauding, so keep with the applause for Hamza, Arien, and Leila, that they were the three heads of this organization. Peace to
Thank you. One thing I will add, yeah, one of our presentations, or a presentation, not one of mine, was the study looking at potential habitats for the reintroduction of the West African crocodile back into Morocco that's been missing, you know, for 70 or 80 years. And we certainly wish, you know, the government and the collaborators in that project, you know, all the best. If successful, I think it'd be only maybe the second location where, you know, crocodiles have been extirpated for long periods of time have actually been reintroduced. And so for this region, there's a potential there for a great ecotourism where there can be benefits coming back to the country for having them back. And we stand ready to sort of assist where we can. So with that, we will close.
We have a lot more, but we're going to be in the evening because I know some people is wondering who will going to get the Castillo, who will going to get the chairs encouragement.
Yeah, the awards
and the prizes for the posters and the presentations.
Which reminds me, I need to get the things, but yes, we will have the Student Awards, the Castillo Award, the Chairs Encouragement Award this evening after we lick it up a little bit. And
I would like to say thank you to that lady here.
Sorry, I did, Sally, sorry, I missed some very important people. When I mentioned Joe and Sean, I mean, they walk on stage, you know, and but what we've got to do is look at the, not the groupies, what are they called? The people who do all the work. But behind a successful auction is the people who do a lot of it. And Colette Adams over here, Kurt, and Sally, who made it run seamlessly. This is the first auction that I didn't have to do anything since 2004 because I had all the confidence that it would go very great. But Sally's worked tirelessly here. She's also assisted Ariane and her organising committee over the last 2 years. She's very much aware of what's involved with running a meeting, and I'm sure she's looking forward to putting her feet up tonight and not doing very much.
Also, we have to remember that we had here the chair of the SSE the first days, and I would also like to thank Christine, that she was also helping on the, you know, the ceremonies. Yeah. Our deputy chair, Yeah.
Merci beaucoup. With that, we'll close the 28th meeting, the formal component here in this room. Sal will probably let you know where the buses will be that will take us to Croco Park for the banquet, and we'll continue. Again, from my side, thank you very much for attending this working meeting. It's all about you guys. I hope you've been able to network and share experiences, especially the students. Take advantage of all these old people and get what you can out of them really quickly. Thank you.
I've lost something. What happened there? Nope. Just two housekeeping things, guys. If I can actually do this now, is that going to allow me to...
Representatives come up for a group vote.
Sorry, I did integrate this QR code into my presentation, but I think it got shut down when the video froze before. I think you can all agree that this hotel has been an amazing venue. That food, wow, like it's been top notch. First of all, yes, thank you. Yeah, let's, yep. And the chef has asked if you would be willing, if you could give them a good review on TripAdvisor, which is what this QR code is for. So if you wouldn't mind doing that. For tonight, I don't even know what time it is. We're no doubt running overtime. No, we're actually doing all right. So buses will be leaving between 5 and 6 o'clock. So sort of now, wander home, drop your bags off. Yes, it is our gala. Come as dressy as you like, but it is not a formal event. So just, yeah, it's us. yeah, known each other for a week. Otherwise, we'll see you downstairs very shortly. Thank you very much. What's that?
Me? Who is going to speak?
Sorry, everyone. Ariane and Abdul would like to say a word. If I could just keep your attention for a little bit, please.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, dear participants, partners and friends. As this edition of the CAG comes to an end, I would like, on behalf of the organizing committee and Croco Park, to extend our most sincere thanks for your presence, your commitment, and the quality of the exchanges we have shared throughout these days. First and foremost, I would like to express our deepest gratitude to His Majesty King Mohammed VI. May God glorify him for granting us the distinguished honor of placing this Congress under his high patronage. I would also like to particularly thank Mr. the Wali of the South Massa region, as well as Mr. the President of the region, for their decisive support and guidance in ensuring the success of this event. A heartfelt thank you as well to our sponsors, speakers, volunteers, technical teams, and everyone who contributed, often behind the scenes, to the organization of this event. This Congress has been much more than a succession of conferences and workshops. It has been a space for meeting, reflection, collaboration, and inspiration around the issues that bring us all together: the preservation of biodiversity, the protection of species, and the strengthening of international cooperation. We have had the honor of welcoming experts, researchers, institutions, partners, and enthusiasts from many different backgrounds, united by the same determination to act and to build sustainable solutions together for the future. I would also like to express special thanks to all participants who traveled very long distances to be with us. We know that for many of you, this journey represented a true personal and professional commitment, sometimes involving considerable sacrifices, and your presence here gives full meaning to his international gathering. With the same desire to unite the CAG community beyond borders, we also deployed a live streaming system to allow Crocodile enthusiasts from around the world to follow the discussions despite the distance. We wanted this edition to be as inclusive and accessible as possible. I would like to extend special thanks to the Scientific Committee for its dedication, rigor, and invaluable support in shaping the scientific program of this Congress. Matthew Shirley for his remarkable commitment as West Africa Regional Chair. Nathalie Perrin, Nicolas Matevon, Xander Combrink, and Abdullah Boueza. I would also like to express my deep gratitude to Charlie Manolis and Alejandro Larriera, as well as Sally Iceberg, for their trust their constant support, their valuable advice, and their guidance throughout the preparation of this event. Their commitment and availability were essential to the success of this edition. Finally, thank you to all participants for your trust, your enthusiasm, and the richness of the exchanges that brought this Congress to life. We hope that you will leave with new ideas, new collaborations, and wonderful memories of this edition organized in Morocco, a land of hospitality, diversity, and commitment to conservation. Before we part, we will have the pleasure to gathering once again during the closing evening at Crocodile Park to continue these moments of conviviality and shared experiences. We wish you all a safe journey home and hope to have the pleasure of welcoming you again at future editions of the CSG. Thank you all very much.
I'd like to call on Abdullah, who's going to read a letter that will be going to the King in Arabic. So please bear with us. This is.
So my colleague asked me to read this from Moroccan Association for Nature and Crocodile Park, to read this message to our King Mohammed VI. برقية ولاء وإخلاص. مولاي صاحب الجلالة والمهابة، أمير المؤمنين جلالة الملك محمد السادس نصره الله، السلام على المقام العالي بالله ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. بمناسبة انعقاد مؤتمر مجموعة أخصائي التماسيح للاتحاد الدولي لشؤون الطبيعة بأكادير من 13 إلى 16 ماي 2026، يتشرف المنظمون بأن يرفعوا إلى السدة العالية بالله أسمى عبارات الولاء والإخلاص وأصدق مشاعر الوفاء والتشبت بالعرش العلوي المجيد. كما يغتنمون هذه المناسبة ليرفعوا إلى جلالتكم أصدق المتمنيات بموفور الصحة والعافية، سائلين العلي القدير أن يحفظ جلالتكم بما حفظ به الذكر الحكيم، وأن يقر عينكم بولي عهدكم صاحب السمو الملكي الأمير الجليل مولاي الحسن، ويشد أزركم بصنوكم السعيد صاحب السمو الملكي الأمير مولاي رشيد وسائر أفراد الأسرة الملكية الشريفة. والسلام على المقام العالي بالله تعالى وبركاته. حرر بأكادير في 16 ماي 2026 خديم الأعتاب الشريفة محمد الريبي رئيس الجمعية المغربية من أجل الطبيعة أمانات، فيليب أليون المدير المسير لحديقة تماسيح بأكادير كروكودايل بارك. Thank you.
I've also had a request to have a photo of all the African participants, if you would like to come up here for a photo.